Sam, Nicole is here as well.
Oh, and Nicole? I wasn't sure who you were, Nicole. And for the Anchorage Committee, John Wesley Nash, Ed Schoonover, Chris King, Sam Lurie, Ted Lowell, Jim Hockett, Doug Ekman. Everyone is here. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
I would like to make an addition that I don't think is reflected here. We were going to talk about changing the date, possibly, the day of the week for the meeting.
Yes. And let's put that under just current items.
Okay. And then also, I'm excited to hear from the captain's priority list for what's coming up.
Okay, we'll add that to the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda with that
I'll move to
addition?
approve.
Ed Schoonover motions. Second?
I second it.
Second by John. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Did everybody get a chance to go over last meeting's minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve. Well,
By Ted, second.
I'll second.
By Ed, I'm sorry,
Doug?
by Doug. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And there was no discussion. Sorry about that. I don't see any public, but is there any public comment? Seeing no public comment, move on to the current items. Before we get started, I take this chance to introduce our new harbor master, Captain Curtis Ludwig. Would you like to introduce yourself again?
Yes, absolutely. Name is Curtis Ludwig, as you all know.
Curtis, you want to pull that mic closer to your mouth. There you go.
Absolutely. So my name is Curtis Ludwig. I am born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida, so I'm a Florida native here. I grew up on the water. As a kid, I was down at the marinas fishing on sport fishers and being a mate and that kind of stuff. I worked as a dock hand down at one of the marinas in Jacksonville when I was going to college and doing school and that kind of thing.
Curtis, go ahead and pull that closer to you, just because folks are interested in your background.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry. So from there, I went into the Coast Guard. I did 10 years in the Coast Guard. I was at two small boat stations. I was on a cutter overseas in Bahrain for about a year and a half, and then I was on a tug and barge, a construction tender at Mayport, Florida, for about 4 years, and we punched the intercoastal waterway channel markers, and we punched the piles and built those structures and everything like that. My background, it was a bosun's mate, so I was big into navigating the vessels. I also was the first lieutenant on the tug and barge, so I was in charge of the deck crew and ran the deck and everything on that vessel. From there, I went into the maritime industry. I was a vessel shipping agency agent for a company called Beelan Company. So we brought in the bigger commercial vessels into the port of Jacksonville. It was a lot of logistics and communicating. We were the liaison for the captain whenever they came into port. So I handled all of his documentation, checked him into the port of Jacksonville, got his clearance to go to his next port, paid his taxes for him, and I did whatever he needed to set up stores and oversaw the cargo operations whenever they were in port in Jacksonville. I did that for about 4 to 5 years. Kind of stepped away from that. I found myself in a project manager role for a marine engineering repair company. We worked on Navy vessels, and we We oversaw the work of their AC plants. So we worked on the Navy DDGs and LCS vessels, and I traveled a lot, went to San Diego, Puerto Rico, and worked on their vessels there for them and oversaw that. We also did some LED lighting changes for those vessels as well. From there, I got called from Carlson Mooring, which is the sister company of Beal and Company. So I went back into the kind of the shipping agency realm. But for there, what we did is we were a mooring and launch company. So I ran the company in Jacksonville for them. And that operation, they mainly operate out of Houston, Texas, and they had a small office in Jacksonville. I ran that down there for the company. We tied up the tanker vessels in the port. We had a 26-foot workboat. So we were an asset off the tugs. So the tugs would push the ship against the dock. The ship would drop the lines to our boat. We would pull the lines and hook up the vessels to the big ballards in the middle of the water. And I ran the day-to-day and set up everything for that company. And then from there, I took this job. So that's my background. I would say a very good, extensive maritime background. I felt like this job fits what I like to do more. And I feel like the jobs that I've had in the past has set me up for success. To do this here and to help this town. So I appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Excellent. We are glad you're here.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just curious, for somebody with your background, and you come to Fort Myers Beach, and now you've had this last week, just to sort of see in a very superficial way what we have here, what facilities, what equipment we have. What's your first impression, surveying what you've seen so far this week?
I like what I see. I mean, obviously, I think that there's a lot of work to be done and a lot of room for growth, which I think is not a bad thing whatsoever. That's another reason why this job was appealing to me as well. It's an opportunity to come in here and to help and to make something better than it already is, right? I think that, we're not necessarily in bad shape whatsoever, but there are room to make things better. So, I like what I see. I've had a great experience thus far with the people I've ran into and the people I work with. So, I'm liking things so far.
Very good. Thank you.
Chairman, I'd like to, welcome. Your background sounds great because we do have a lot of things to do, like the shore facilities and all these things we've been talking about since I've participated on this committee, and I think it's time to start actually getting projects done. And I like the project management background, and sounds pretty solid. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else for Curtis? Well, definitely welcome. And in the past, we've gotten, if you can make our meetings, it'd be great if you could give a report. And Chad knows the routine pretty well. He'll help you out. Usually we get a report from staff, including, how your vessels are going, how the pump outs are going, the status on the maintenance of the moorings, from bottom up.
Yes.
As time goes, and anything else you might need, how the dinghy docks are doing, just your day-to-day, you're our eyes out there. So, if you could just provide us with that, and anything that you need, you can bring up here, but ultimately it's council's job to, provide. We just advise.
But this committee and the council, particularly with a new set of eyes, we welcome all of your suggestions.
Okay.
And if you have new thoughts, new ideas, new ways of doing things, we're all ears.
Absolutely.
And you're on the ground floor because we're getting ready to do a lot. We've got, decisions to make and variables to weigh out for our upland facilities and how the operations are run. We're always open to suggestions on the operations. You'll be out there seeing that every day. So anything you can do to improve that, we're on board.
Right.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any report on the mooring field budget? Any items on that we need to go over? We did that kind of last meeting.
I would like to ask some questions if I could, and I'm sorry that I wasn't able to make it last time, but I did watch the replay, and one of my questions is, we talk about this as being a mooring field budget, but I know that marine operations is bigger than just the mooring field. So is this a right thing to call it, just so that we're not confusing people? Because, I know marine operations does debris removal, and they work on canals, and they do site inspections for the beach to find where things might be buried. Is it misleading to the public to call it truly the mooring field budget and put all of the expenses against that when there's so much other value?
Hey, morning, Chad Schutz, environmental staff. So you're right, and we do have a couple different buckets. The two big buckets are mooring field and maritime. In mooring field, we have the CVA grant, which covers the pump out operations, maintenance, and then there's ancillary, the buoys, the systems themselves. All that can be in the mooring field budget. Then we have maritime, which is kind of everything outside of that mooring field. So there are two
Okay.
buckets, and we can get something more detailed from finance for you with that.
Yeah, that's good to know. I just didn't want to see all of the operations cost put against the mooring field, because I know that there's been some comments from people that, it's not breaking even, it's not doing what it needs to do, and I just don't want to see all of the, the cost against it when there's so much value with what marine operations brings to the town. That through marketing and communication, I think we have the opportunity to do a better job and explain all of that value.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a little bit more complicated by the hurricane recovery funds that we're getting in, and those projects, even though it's a mooring field project or maritime, debris removal, what have you, that's coming out of, I think finance calls it emergency funds, or they have a different bucket for those, the monies, the grants that we're receiving to get back on track.
Yeah, and I don't want to complicate any budgeting because I know it's already really complicated. I
Yes,
just
ma'am.
wanted to bring that up, as I think that's important to note, that there's a bigger umbrella that the mooring field operations is part of.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chad.
You're welcome.
Can I also comment? I appreciate Chris saying that, and I apologize also, I was not, so both of us were not at the meeting, so that's my fault, but I apologize. I'll hopefully get that budget. My question, I guess, and I think that's an important point, because our goal is to be budget neutral. So if you don't know what your expenses are, it's hard to be budget neutral on that. So I think it's a great point. But currently on our budget for 2024, simple question, are we budget neutral? Because there was a lot of stir from the last meeting. There was a lot of comments that I've seen across social media about, should we fund, should the town be funding the mooring field? I think everybody would say no to that. I think that's a general idea, but again, you got to know what your expenses are, and you got to manage your expenses based off the revenue that you're bringing in. If we can't do that effectively, then we're going to have to look at rates. But I'm still not sure we have great information to be able to make those decisions, and I just want to make sure that we're clear if it's not budget neutral right now, and the grants aren't going to cover us for this year. As long as the grants cover us, we're fine.
I think that's an ongoing conversation. I felt that the information that Joe provided, if you watched the replay, was really, really helpful. But it's sort of operational costs and then your capital expenses, and how do we do a better job? We're going to know what operational costs are. Those are kind of fixed expenses. How will we do a better job going forward of understanding what the capital expenses are and what year they need to fall in, so that we can, minimize the overage in certain years? But it may take a while, I think, just because of all the repairs we have to do to get to somewhere where we're actually neutral or making money.
I think too, you're right about expenses, Jim. I think the challenge at this point is we just haven't had a normal year for a while
Right.
on the revenue side. And as soon as we get some sort of average or normal revenues information, then I think we could budget accordingly to make it revenue neutral. But I think that's the challenge. We just don't have any numbers and probably won't for another year in terms of what a normal year is, because we had COVID before the storm, and I just don't think it just hasn't been normal around here for a long time. But I think that should be our goal, absolutely.
And I think Curtis can help us to do that once he gets in and sees how that is. So maybe it is a year that we have to get through and then focus on that next year.
Yeah.
Well, also, I think it was prior to COVID, excuse me, that the mooring field expanded. And that greatly
That's right.
threw off the numbers for that year.
Yep.
And I believe it was the year prior to that the mooring field actually made a little bit of money. But if you look at the way the budget is set up, we've got salaries and retirements and things like that. A person like this gentleman is not going to spend 100% of his time just on the mooring field. Like Chris mentioned, he's going to be working in other areas in that. And the mooring field is covering the entire salary and benefits of the harbor master and some other staff, I believe.
Is that true, Chad? Is that all of the salaries are put under mooring
The
field?
CVA grant covers a portion of it, their operational time that they're putting into it. So again, it's complicated, and we can get a more detailed report from finance to see how that's broken up between the maritime and mooring field budgets. I don't know off the top of my head. Speaking to Mr. Hockett's comments and all of y'all's concerns, I did read some of those comments, and I thought some of them were a little bit unfair. It's no doubt that the mooring field has been an investment for the town, but that's an investment in the quality of life that it brings all of the residents and visitors here, not just in terms of economics and bringing boaters in, but as well as water quality, which is important to all of us. It's a great benefit, reducing the derelict vessels that were, my understanding, historically out there and were becoming an issue years ago, and also the benefits to water quality and providing those upland facilities and pump outs, et cetera, is a benefit to the town. And if you look at the revenue and occupancy as we were ramping up to Ian, I think you will see positive numbers and be optimistic about the future of the mooring field and its ability not only to break even operationally, but looking at the fees to fund the capital expenses to run it well.
And I'd just like to build on what you said there, Chad. I mean, you talk about the value and the benefits of maritime operations. Is that the moniker?
Well, the mooring field, and then, maritime operations, everything, we have Laguna Channel. We have all of our canals that service or give waterway access to all the residents and visitors that live here. So, getting those dredged, getting the debris targets removed, the list goes on. There's a lot.
Well, I think they fall into like three buckets of value. So you've got your economic value. You're actually making some money from the people who are not only paying to moor, but coming to shop and explore and, experience Fort Myers Beach. But you've got the environmental things that you talked about. So the clean water. And you've got safety. You've got debris. You've got control of the people who are actually there. So there's three buckets of value that I think we can do a good job of explaining to the public, so they don't just see, mooring field, done. That's not the whole of it.
It's almost a part of our marketing strategy is marketing to our own residents to say this.
Exactly.
Because I think the fourth thing is, and I was thinking about this when I was reading all those too, Chad, is think about going over that bridge if you had all those derelict boats there. I mean, the value of aesthetically of us being able to cross that bridge and see the mooring field is almost, immeasurable, and if I hope the residents understand, what we're doing here is much more than just letting somebody come stay on a boat.
Yep, gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. That sunrise right over the mooring field, it's a sight to see.
It's postcard perfect.
Yep, yep.
Morning, Chad. I've done some study since the last meeting, looking at how we compare to other mooring fields and ports up and down Florida, and what type of comments we've gotten. and everything's very positive. We got a reputation as a first-class mooring field option. It certainly should bring a lot of revenue to the town that's not directly associated with the mooring field. But we stand out in our ability to attract business simply on our reputation and on our amenities we offer.
Anyone else on that? I had one more comment on that for Curtis. I'm not sure, you can discuss with staff, I'm not sure exactly how much you need to be involved with the finance and the budget. You need to be involved with it, but I'm not sure you're going to need to be involved in every detail, but you can pick that up from staff exactly I'm not sure what your responsibilities are on that, but I know it's not keeping the books for every penny and everything, but
Probably coming in under budget.
yes, being aware of all that.
I'm definitely to a point, I will be keeping track of the budget and certain things. Now, the entire realm and value, maybe not, but for a good part of it, yes, I will be keeping track of it. Yes.
Good. Anything else on the budget? And follow up from last meeting? Okay. Mooring field marketing. And Nicole, would you like to introduce yourself and start off? Thank you.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Nicole. I'm the Public Information Officer for the town. I recently met with Chris and Chad about a few marketing items. So just from where I'm at right now, I updated the website a little bit. Curtis is now on there. And then at the bottom, there's a link to the Anchorage Committee page so that if people want to find the agenda or anything like that, they can click on that link and go right to your page. And then we also talked a little bit about the Facebook page because most of you probably don't know this, but the mooring field actually has its own Facebook page. It just has never really been used. So if that is something that you guys would like to see be used to market instead of just going through the town's page, we can do that as well. And then I would share everything on the town side so that it's seen even more people. And then anything else that you guys would like to see, just throw my way.
John?
First up, I've seen your update, and it's wonderful.
Thank you.
It really reflects a lot more information that was in there. I certainly want to encourage the committee to consider more fulfillment action on the Facebook page. Most of the boaters that I know, that's the first place they're going to look. They're not going to go to the town's website and search through there to find the page that addresses the Anchorage. Even if there are, it's not easy to do. It's simply, it is hard. But between DACWA, who's shown us very positive information, and our Facebook page, I think our marketing capabilities or positive entities would be a good thing. I hope the committee sees it that way.
Just add a couple things. Thanks, Nicole, and thank you for meeting with me, Chad and Nicole. I second what Jim said about it really is important to, I think, have that communication, ongoing communication with our residents on the island about the value of the maritime operations and the mooring field, because I do think that can cut down on a lot of the negativity when they understand all of the things that are coming from the great work that Curtis and his staff will be doing. And then the other thing is Chad asked me to work on a welcome kit, which I think you mentioned at the last meeting, Sam, and I've reached out to the chamber. They have a bunch of things that I could assemble to actually hand a packet to somebody. So my question to you, Sam, is you seem to be really connected with the boaters when they come in and the welcome type of thing. Do you see this as more of something virtual that we would put links on the Facebook page to, hey, these restaurants, these grocery stores are boat friendly, please check them out. We can do that. But do you also see a value of having some actual handouts?
maybe some very small, a hard copy of something very small that would have the websites, phone numbers, and the pertinent information, but probably not a large pamphlet or booklet, but at least something that we can give to people. Because pretty much everybody's got their phone, but they still need the links to get to where they want to be.
Okay.
Curtis?
I think that's a great idea. We have a section right outside the dinghy docks, information section, and I can put those there.
Okay.
And that way, that would, a lot of people come in, they have friends, we can spread the word that way. I think the Facebook thing is a great thing. I mean, for today's, world and how the world operates now, right? It's all social media now, sometimes I wish it wasn't like that, but that's the world we live in now, right? I don't know if we have an Instagram or not. I don't know if that's something we could look into and do both, do Facebook and the Instagram page for the
Yep.
mooring field. That's something that I talked about when I interviewed to bring in more business and stuff like that. And we could do like short clips or little stuff. And I think you made a great point about advertising what to do in the town if you do more into the mooring field. So I think that would help us out tremendously and bring more people in. So the big thing for me is for DACWA, and we're changing things on that to how we're going to operate and how we position the vessels in the mooring field. And for that, I would like to, that will help us bring in more and then push people. We have designated spots between the 3 mooring fields and what type of boats are going to be going in. So all that will, I think help out, and we could get the word out as well better through the social media,
So if I do the research, Nicole, and get you the information in some sort of a package, would you be able to put it on Facebook and make sure to socialize it the right way?
Yeah, definitely. And I can look into adding an Instagram for the mooring field also, so it's going on both sites. And then Chad just made a good point, maybe a rack card. It's just front and back. It's easy. So that could be what you actually hand to the people that are mooring.
With phone numbers and websites. John?
I agree totally. DACWA is by far our best form of advertisement. Not that it should replace anything else, but that is a true focus to. That's what my experience is in other boaters looking for a place to moor or a place to dock. I also want to say, Sam, I know there's a couple other nonprofits, one in particular, that are in the process of putting together a welcome kit for anyone that comes new to town. I'm not saying we should use that as a substitute what we choose to do directly, but it would probably be to our benefit to add a card or a pamphlet that you're talking about, because it's going to go to people that really are focused on other things initially, but eventually is going to be focused on the amenities in the town.
Who are those organizations, John?
Women's Club
Okay.
is working very hard to put together a welcome package.
Okay, all right. I'm a member
Chamber.
of that, so,
We missed the
Yep.
coloring book. That would have been a good one.
the Murph coloring book?
Yes, the coloring book's awesome.
Maybe we can put a sticker on it.
Nicole, do you feel like that you have enough information? We talked about the various websites, the Facebook pages, like the town page, which to me sounds like a great way of marketing to the residents, and then the mooring field page, which is really to the customer. So it's almost like 2 different target markets, I think.
Yeah,
But
I think.
if you don't, I was going to just say, if you don't, maybe there's an opportunity to do like a quick subcommittee, of a meeting or 2 with, various stakeholders to help you to know how to build it,
Yeah.
for the targets.
I think that I do have enough information, and then for just like the details of it, I can always meet with Curtis and see specifically what he feels should be out there on the social media. I think the videos and everything is a good idea. So I think that I have a good general idea, and then we can kind of get together for the details.
Nicole, I've got a thought. After the storm, we did this little series. We did key questions for key staffers, and we went out with the previous harbor master. Jacob back there has amazing skill sets as a videographer, and that was by far the most watched video of all the various folks we talked to. I would think with the new harbor master and with your social media skills and with Jacob being with us, especially once he gets his feet on the ground, have a sort of a welcome to the mooring field, Fort Myers Beach mooring field, hosted by the harbor master, and have him go out in the boat with Jacob and yourself and just tell the story of our mooring field. And then you've got content that's very user friendly, and people can see and feel and touch and hear the mooring field. Where do you go to your digging dock? How do you hook up? Where do you go? How do you pay? And then I think that would be interesting to the islanders as well, because a lot of people that watch that video were people that don't even boat, but they found it fascinating just to see what all was involved. And then the boaters were particularly fascinated, especially when you throw out some of the lingo and some of your background. I just think that would be really user-friendly, inexpensive. You could attach that to a number of different links. You could post it out there as well, but also have it on the website, have it on the mooring field's website or link. That 5-minute, 10-minute video, and people will watch. They love this stuff, so they'll watch 10 minutes or 15 minutes. This the one we did was over an hour. I'm not suggesting we need to do an hour, but just the highlights of the mooring field so people can see it and get a flavor of what we're doing. Maybe it's a little early, maybe it's premature, but soon I would think we could be able to do that when you get your feet on the ground and get most of the fields up and running.
Yeah, we actually just talked about that right before this meeting about doing a video, and I'm not sure if you guys have seen, but I've been doing shorter clips each week with the different departments around town. So we've already done Mount House and we did Bay Oaks last week, or the last 4 weeks. So we could do it that way, where they're shorter, keep people engaged for a minute or 2 minutes, and then the next week they have something to look forward to. Or we could do one big long video, whatever we think is better.
I think in this area, because it's an area where there are people that are very interested, I think you could go more than 2 minutes, particularly if someone's, to John's point, if someone's looking at various mooring fields and they pull up the video, they may, most of it may be through DACWA, but if they decide to Google Fort Myers Beach mooring field, all of a sudden this video pops up, and then they could at least see what our facilities are and see what it looks like and see all the places to visit and just get a sense of what that experience would be like. It's so inexpensive, and that content will be shared, and it could be helpful. Anyways, but I think that's great.
Yeah, we'll definitely be doing that soon.
I think it may be a good idea that we move forward as quickly as possible to create a little introduction video for Curtis. I've seen it in print, but like Nicole says, people don't read anymore. They watch. And it would be wonderful for our Facebook page to say, this is our new dock master. This is his background. This is his experience in moving forward.
Yeah, that could be a good
I will say, I
start.
think the vice mayor maybe minimizes his value to that video, because I watched the video, and he asked great questions, as if you don't know the answers, because I know a lot of them you do. And I think that may be something, if you're willing to do that, you have a lot of respect in the community, and I think that would be great to have you still a part of the next.
You give me credit for thinking I know the answers, but I learned a lot that day. Yeah.
But you know the right questions to ask, which is
Right.
often more important than the answers.
That's a good point. So I think that's a great way to do it. And if we could script it a little bit to include some of these frequently asked questions, the ones that we really know are going to come up, the ones that you'll be getting asked every day after day, if we can script those in there, that'd be a good place to put them.
Agree, and key points like what's the value of the mooring field? It's not just economic, it's also environmental, it's aesthetic, it's, what's my other one? Oh, safety. All of these things, let's have 4 or 5 key points that we always talk about anytime we talk about the mooring field and maritime operations, just to make sure that people are paying attention.
Yeah, I think that that's good. So what I'm kind of getting from this is maybe we can start with a short one, just an introduction, and that can kind of kickstart the marketing and getting the Facebook and everything back up and running. And then we'll continue the posts and we'll get hopefully with Jim and we can do a video actually going around the mooring field and everything.
Yeah, give them a whole rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah.
And if we could throw some drone footage in there, because that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Nice.
That really
Yeah.
highlights everything. Anything else for Nicole? I have one more thing. Amy, is there an extra copy of that strategic that you handed to everybody? I wanted Nicole to have one of those. And when I get, you know what? Oh, great. Are you going to stick around or are you out of here? Oh, that'd be great. If you could stick around while we talk about this soon, that would be very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Marketing. Is there anybody else on that? Maybe now would be a good time to pick up the strategic action plan just for a minute. Town council, for big bucks, hired a strategic marketing or a strategic action plan workshop. I think that was a couple meetings ago, Jim.
That's correct. I think it's funded by FEMA, but yes.
Right,
Yep.
and it's like an all-day thing, and last time we did it, we ended up with this. And we did it probably 5 or 6 years ago. It was an all-day thing, and I don't think we need to pay to get it done, but I had this printed out, so I thought maybe we could use this as an outline and revise it, simplify it, and get to the point, that way we have some kind of vision for the future here. And if you want to take just a quick look at it, the front page is, it could use some improvements, but it's basically just our goals and providing a safe and welcoming experience for mariners and become a premier destination.
Sam, can I stop you for a second?
Sure.
Just one question. Didn't we go through this several months ago? And
We did.
And
We
and
did.
it was kind of outdated.
And that's what we're going to do. And-
So
and
we're going to update it now. So
we're going to
it's-
update it. First page is probably going to be fine, but from then on, we got new staff, we've got new items. I mean, I could think of one right off that doesn't need to be on here, but that I wanted to ask Curtis about. When you get to the dinghy dock, there is a little bit of signage there that there's a lot of room for improvement there.
Absolutely.
For excellent information. So as you go along, maybe you can, add to that and tweak that and improve that a little bit. Because that's the first stop, and that's, it saves people from asking a lot of questions at the office.
Correct.
But most of these short-term goals about, customer experience, we're definitely going to have some items in there as we go forward with whatever we're doing for our upland services, to add and subtract from that. Growth and capacity, we're in the middle of that. And with what's going on with our expansion, and I should have asked Chad while he was up there, but I can ask him during his presentation or during his staff about the 6 ball. I know we're not capacity now, but the 6 balls that were Coast Guard, while we're thinking about it, that were Coast Guard restricted. So what's the status on that, and maybe just the general field?
Yeah, that's one of the things that Curtis and I have discussed, and it'll be one of his priorities to get that resolved with the Coast Guard.
Okay, and that's for lack of depth, or is it going to be a matter of
So we're
moving the
talking about
balls?
on the west field.
Yeah, those the 6 ones that are
Yeah, the first
kind of by
mooring field,
themselves.
yeah, the 6
Yeah, the
that are down.
realignment with the channel and
Yeah. Oh, that's realignment with the channel markers. Is that the issue?
No.
yeah. So they were permitted. They should be, they're permitted to be used. Coast Guard is a commenting agency for the Army Corps permit. So it's just a matter of working it out with the appropriate. Curtis is a Coast Guard man, so district or.
So it has to get approved. So we're going to have to talk with the Coast Guard and get them to talk on our behalf with them with the Army Corps of Engineers. So through my past experiences with getting channel markers or balls moved right, it's the Army Corps of Engineers will have to pretty much survey that area and they give the coordinates to the Coast Guard to where that ball can be placed. That's just, now that's with my experience with operating in the Coast Guard and things like that. Now that might have changed a little bit, but that is, those 6 balls are very high on my priority list right now. I hope to get some more work next week and improvements on that, and how we're going to get those balls open. But what my understanding is right now is that those balls are outside of the channel, which they can't. And when the vessels tie up to the anchor ball there, when they swing on that ball, their vessel, it gets inside the channel, right? But now we also have another issue. When they swing the other direction outside the channel, right? We got a grass bed or a shoal right there, so the vessels don't have complete swing room on that ball. So that's why those 6 balls are down, and that's what we have to figure out, of where we can get those balls moved for us to have those back in operation. So it's work that I'm working on right now. That's at the.
Well, the general idea of everything that was west of the bridge was for those larger vessels. that
Correct.
couldn't get under the bridge or needed a bigger swing. But there may be a resolution. If those 6 balls cannot be resolved, maybe we want to put a length limit on that, and then it would comply as a last resort.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
That they wouldn't hit the
I
swing
agree.
zone.
I hope to get those balls back. I think it's important to get those balls back for those bigger vessels, because that is our bigger mooring field. And just since I've been here, we've been getting more requests for that's the high priority field, is that west field, right? The first one. And I think it's important for us to be able to accommodate those bigger vessels. And the problem is, we get those bigger vessels, especially the big sailing vessels and the catamarans with masts that cannot fit under the bridge. So, I think getting those 6 balls back would be very important and help us out a lot. I mean, that's kind of what we're working around right now. So
And as we improve, we're definitely attracting the bigger vessels.
To clear it up, Mr. Chair, the balls were in the correct place prior to the hurricane, right? So the hurricane,
I think the channel markers got moved.
they moved the channel
Or when
markers
they
is kind
when
of
they
what
replaced
I've
them.
been told. Now I don't know for sure, but I think that's what happened. They actually they moved the channel. They moved the day boards, I think, is what happened, and then it caused the balls to be more in the channel, I believe. So
Can the balls be moved to the new channel? Does that
but that has to gets approved by the Coast Guard and the Army
Yeah, the
Corps
farther
of
we
Engineers.
move over, then we get to the
shoal.
soil, or the
Yeah.
shoal and grassy
Okay.
area
Yes, sir.
that
my
were
point is,
originally off limits.
my point is, who made the change? Who made the change?
Oh, the markers that moved them in?
That made these mooring balls so that they're not be able to be used.
It wasn't, the mooring balls weren't changed. I think the channel marker.
The
was
channel,
moved.
and that's the Coast Guard and
The channel
Army.
markers or the channel itself?
The
Because
channel itself, meaning the channel markers moved in, which caused the channel to change, or
They actually widened the channel a
Did
little
it
bit on that
widen?
area,
Yes.
didn't they?
So when you say they, was it a storm event? Was it a natural event? Or did the Coast Guard go in there, make this change so our mooring balls don't work anymore? Because if that's the case, then the Coast Guard should probably be helping us find a location for these balls.
Or our submerged land lease, which we expanded to that, would have to be looked at somehow.
Chairman, just for record,
On that.
can we get the numbers of those balls?
I think now that we
we're talking
brought it
about?
up, it's going to be a subject that you'll look into.
oh, absolutely.
I don't mean the physical number, I mean the identification number. Do we have those?
I don't have that on hand. Give it to you via email.
Well, they're right in a row, aren't they? I mean, you can easily see it from the top of the bridge. The mooring field looks great, and then there's
And then
a
there's
gap.
six. Then there's 6 balls. Yeah. It's the very west. It's the very west 6 balls, or is there 1 or 2 that are
They're right in the middle.
usable?
It's in the
They're in the
middle.
middle.
It's in the middle.
So out of the 19, there's like 10, and then the 6, and then there's another 3 or 4 or something like that.
Correct.
They're obvious because that section is full.
Right,
Although
yes.
the entire mooring field is not full right now. So now's a good time to try to get everything as, so we can have full occupancy when everyone starts coming back.
Mr. Chairman, if I could take you back to your comment about
Sure.
the action plan.
Yep.
You were right that we did talk about it. I think it was like back in November or
Yeah.
October, and it was one of the first things we talked about, and we talked about how it's probably not tremendously helpful the way that it's organized today because there's a lot of repetition. I think we can get rid of a lot of redundancy, but I would suggest that we not necessarily take this up until Curtis has some time to get more of a POV around what the priorities are. So maybe in 1 or 2 months we
My
revisit
suggestion
it.
was everybody take this home and mark it up. There's going to be stuff you're just going to cross off, and you're going to have ideas as you go through it. Maybe mark them up, and then we'll just start with one. Next meeting, we'll start with one topic.
Well,
Maybe we'll
who
pick.
originally made up this?
This was
plan?
a paid seminar for a day
Right.
by, I think it might have been the same person that did last month's for town hall.
Well, this is way back from 20.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
2020.
It was
Yeah.
a day-long workshop with a lot of exercises and a lot of things, but this is definitely a good outline for us to, none of this stuff is valid anymore. It's all obsolete.
Well, that's what I mean.
But
My point was that
just
maybe
that-
Curtis could go through it and he could update this, the pros and cons of
A
a
lot
ship
of it.
store. He could do that himself and bring it back to us, unless you think that we should go through it.
I think we should
and-
all
and give
do
to-
it. And what's going to eventually happen is, the reason I think we should do this now is, at some point, we're going to be discussing upland with town council or sending them some recommendations on upland. And if we have this in order, it'd be a lot clearer on our priorities.
Yeah. I agree with you, Ed, that, it'd be helpful for Curtis to use this as a starting point to see, are these the priorities at all anymore? If not, what are? And then I think we can do a better job of bucketing them into like operational, capital, some other things, because right now there are too many categories that just compete with each other. And you mentioned the same thing multiple times. So I think it could be really streamlined into a couple or 3 buckets.
I think we just have a new head of that committee,
No.
of that project.
Can we get an electronic copy of this?
It's on the website on a link.
But is it a PDF?
But I
I'm
don't know if
guessing?
you can, change.
You might be able to overwrite it.
Oh, you
if
can
have-
send up one where we can amend and, yeah, and then you can type all over it and.
Yeah.
But I figured if we had this to start with, everybody's got the same thing to start with. And probably, we don't need to work on it today, but as we go along, this would be a good outline to get us moving on all those items.
So, Mr. Sam, just real
Sure,
quick
go
to
ahead,
answer Mr. John's question, it's balls 4 through 9,
4 through 9?
and the channel markers are G13 and G15.
I'm sorry, the channel markings again?
G13 and G15.
And that was just because they decided to widen the channel, correct? Is that the?
Well, that's what I was
purpose?
trying to get at. Did the storm do it? Did the Coast Guard do it? Why did it all? Because
It is odd. It seems pretty wide now.
They
You know,
were
I mean,
operational.
Yeah, that's in front of Pink Shell there, and that was pretty wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this I can read an email into the record if y'all like. This is back in June 2023. Our coastal engineer chasing it up with it looks like FWC and the U.S. Army Corps. So in an email to FWC, town requested the U.S. Coast Guard to temporarily remove 5 mooring systems. The town was requested by the U.S. Coast Guard to temporarily remove 5 mooring systems. I think that's the count is 6, but from service while they investigate relocating 2 adjacent channel markers. Federal authorization to install the mooring field was obtained from the U.S. Coast Guard, and the systems were installed in accordance with the permits. Permit drawings depicting the configuration are included in the attached permit. Shortly after completion, the local Coast Guard raised concerns about the mooring field's proximity to the federal channel. U.S. Army Corps did not coordinate with the U.S. Coast Guard because the mooring field and the submerged land lease are outside of the federal channel right away. The existing channel markers, G13 and G15, are also outside of the right-of-way and do not mark the channel inflections. Relocating the two markers will resolve the issue. And then goes on to speak about the dredge project, which happened last fall. So I think there's just been a lack of response from the Army Corps, so we can reopen that channel of communication and chase it up.
They may have tried to make that as wide, since we had those big cranes and everything come in, maybe that was one of the reasons that they tried to make it as wide as possible down there, but we can look into that. Hopefully we can get those balls back operational. Next item, third-party marina operating mooring field.
Mr. Chair, I know you talked about that at the last meeting, and I just, had a comment. It seemed to me that there's a lot of synergy if you work with a third party for maintaining your upland facilities, because it not only helps, it's the same boaters. You've got boaters who are at a dock, you've got boaters who are mooring. If they can all use the same facilities and, a third party who has a vested interest could maintain that, to me, that seems like a real win-win. And then the other thing that I liked is, I can't remember who brought it up, but talked about how I think it was Frankie, talked about how in our review of proposals coming to the town, really looking for that bonus, that value add from some of the developers on, okay, what can you do for the town for maritime operations? Can you give us a dock for our boats? Can you help with pumping? So I thought those were really great ideas.
It's just the way that it's worded that still has me confused, because it says operating the mooring field.
Yeah, I don't.
And I
think
asked
that's
a
a good idea.
question, well, it could be debatable, but I asked a question at the last meeting, and I believe Mr. Adderholt told me that this was something that the mayor was throwing around at a council meeting. And if the mayor wants us to look into it, I think, is that the direction that we're getting? Because this is the second time it's been on our agenda.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's on the agenda at this point. I think it came up in a discussion we had as an advisory committee, because there was a time in the previous, for lack of a better term, regime under the previous town manager where, help me with this, Chad, that we put out an RFP for private entity, third parties to run the mooring field, and I don't think we received any formal responses to that. We had, as I understand it, from one of the third parties, potentially, that was Moss Marine. They met with the then town manager, and there were so many stipulations put in place to micromanage how they would do it that they quickly lost interest. This person told me from Moss Marine that, hey, listen, if we had operational control over it and we could set some boundaries and have some input on the policy side of it, we would be much more interested. Again, this was 3-4 years ago, so it doesn't mean it's not ripe for discussion again, but it may be premature at this point because some of these developments are still in the sort of exploration stage. As you all probably saw, the Moss Marine folks are going to kind of go back to the drawing board and just kind of take a look at their proposal and see how they can adjust it. I think they're still very interested in doing that, and when they adjust it and how they adjust it may be germane to this issue here, because there may be a synergy there between what they can offer and what we need, and where everybody benefits. As sort of a symbiotic relationship. Those negotiations would be complex, but certainly worth having, I would think. But I think maybe a bit premature at this point, but I think that's the background, Ed, as best as I can tell. Yeah. I don't think anything's been happening on it in the last since the hurricane, at least.
Yeah, especially with Moss Marine, because they may go back to being a marina strictly.
Or a mix, yeah,
Or
Yeah.
a number of different things.
yeah.
I got a question. I mean, and I know I read what the Bowditch may be an ultimate end goal at
That
some
was,
point.
that was the other piece of the puzzle. That's more of a public, interlocal agreement with the county. And again, that's the nice thing about having options. You could weigh that against what Moss Marine could do for us versus what the county, how they, if their willingness to partner with us. Because the county, that option about it could be tremendous with the facilities they already have in place. They're rebuilding the dock. Maybe there's a tremendous opportunity for partnership. The county, I talked to Commissioner Sandelli about that. He's very interested that our town leadership has a great relationship with the county now, and there's great opportunities for partnership and synergy there as well. So that's where I think this committee will have a significant role once those. I think the town leadership has just been swamped on a number of fronts. But I do think now that we have a harbor master in place, I think that those conversations can begin with the county to see what those options are.
It's more long-term, but
Yep.
have we looked at, if we considered or would we consider Salty Sam's as an option? You know, one thing that challenges me with any of the locations on the island is there's no parking. Parking is not going to be good anywhere, whether it's Bowditch, whether it's Moss, whether it's Matanzas. Salty Sam's has parking. You know, I mean, get on the other side of the island, the people are still going to be coming to this side for their entertainment, but they don't have to drive over the island, the people who have cars, and some of them do.
Chad,
You know, not everybody's
do you
transit
remember,
overnight.
Chad, was Salty Sam's one of the entities that was approached with the RFP? Okay. Yeah.
We used to have our upland facilities at Salty Sam's. It was very successful for a long time. I think it switched when they changed ownership, but it was a Salty Sam's for many years. It was very easy to get to for the dinghy people, a lot of parking.
Traffic
And
on the island.
traffic
is
on the
eliminated.
island.
It solves a lot of challenges.
I didn't realize that was the host of our facilities years
Yeah,
back.
it was for quite a while. In fact, I think they might have been the first one.
Really?
Yeah, back there.
It's where the
Is that something we could
boat break.
I think they
Consider?
should be included with all
Yeah,
the other
yeah,
options.
everybody
In fact,
should,
I think
yeah.
they were included with the options
Were they?
last time we looked at them. But last time we were looking at things we owned. But now that we're open to pretty much anything, Amy, can we change maybe for next meeting? Would everybody be okay if we change that to third party, marina, or property cooperating?
Well,
Mr.
Chair, I would say
better name for
that
that.
let's take it off
Okay.
of the agenda because as Mr. Adderholt mentioned, it's probably a little premature to actually talk about it. But let's make sure that we add it as an item on the action plan for
Yes.
consideration when the time is right.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, let's take it off of there and
I think there's a lot of ideas we could explore with that option of maybe even a partnership for the mooring field's quite long. So I think you could deal with more than one entity when it comes to dealing with a partnership. Yeah.
The only thing I would say is right now that's a rebuilding going on. So
Yep.
if somebody's going to need to build a dinghy dock or something like that and think about their strategic plan, you
Yeah.
don't want to wait too long to engage with those
Correct.
private
Yep, I agree.
entities.
why don't we replace that item with upland facility discussion? We're going to be discussing that probably at all of our meetings. I don't see any upland.
Is that also a little premature? I mean,
Well, we're
is
kind
that
of looking
some-
at alternatives. In fact, we'll ask the Vice Mayor about if there was any Bowditch communication and get updates from him on that kind of stuff every meeting, I think.
Yeah, that's fine. I think at this point, I think they were waiting to hire the harbor master and then begin those engaging in those conversations with Lee County.
Okay.
So I would yield to the harbor master, Chad and Frankie on that at this point, but I
Let's-
think
let's
that's
take
clearly
a-
on their list. Yep.
Let's take it off and it'll just come up under staff report. It'll come up under staff report when there's something to report. So we can get rid of that one, Amy, I think.
Vice Mayor, is there any update on the ferry system that we talked about previously that would make a place on San Carlos more practical?
The water ferry entity is still progressing. They still have significant interest in financing and development. I think to make their model work, they're not sure if this coming season, they might do some pilot programs this coming season. I'd like to at some point have one of the principals of that entity come in and just talk to this group and kind of give us an update and let you all ask questions and kind of have a little back and forth, because this entity also discussed working with the mooring field or the Anchorage Advisory Committee to offer a water taxi to supplement the mooring field like you had suggested, John. So I think they're open for suggestions, open for partnerships. I just think it's a longer term plan for them, probably fully operational and not this coming season, but the following season. But it's still very much alive. But I'd love to have this group hear from them at some point.
That is very encouraging news, because options on the San Carlos side would become much more practical if that was in
And I think
place.
they'd be based there, from my understanding. That's where their base of operations will be. That's where their boats will be, as I understand it.
Thank you.
The beauty of having all these options is we're still going to retain the dinghy dock underneath on the island side of the Sky Bridge, and that's central to everything. So no matter what we do on San Carlos Island or Bowditch or down towards Bay Oaks here, whatever we do, we're still going to have that central dinghy location. Or whatever we do with water tax or anything, we'll have that central dinghy location, which is key for everybody to get around, get groceries, get on trolleys.
That's true, but it's
entertainment.
also, we've talked about it being overcrowded. So it can't be our only option.
That's why upland facilities kind of make sense in a different area, so you're not tying up that dock. Let people come in for
And
entertainment.
it is open to the public, and Curtis hasn't seen it yet. He's just seen like 3 or 4 dinghies there, but they raft out pretty good
No, I've
during
seen
season.
it with 12.
Yeah,
at
it's
least.
been full, and everybody, that's one of the reasons we ask everybody, not necessarily this time of year, to use a 10-foot painter. And that's one of the things, I'm not sure if it's on the sign or not, but it's kind of in the rules and regulations. We like them to use a 10-foot painter on their dinghy and keep their engines down. That way they can, get off and let it float out and raft off. But the tide, I'm sure you noticed, the tide rips through there.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else on that? Okay. Next item, members' items. Want to start with Doug?
Do you want to talk about changing the date of the meeting?
Yeah, do you want to do that under, let's
I
do
thought-
that now. Let's do
okay.
that now. So there was a suggestion that we change the meeting to possibly the third Monday or the third Friday of every month. Vice Mayor brought up the Monday probably is not going to work, because that is.
Okay, is that a problem?
That is town halls. Oh, here's Amy.
Okay, Amy Baker for the record. Third Monday is a council day, so that won't work. Fridays are usually open. If nobody likes meetings on Friday, but if that's when you want them, great.
I would agree that nobody wants meetings on Friday. The problem with Fridays is it's hard to get people together. But who has the conflict? Is it?
Well, I mean,
Jim
I
or
didn't ask
Doug?
for a meeting to be changed. I appreciate.
No, let's hear what.
I don't want to lose Jim.
Let's hear what your issue is, and let's see if we can work around
I have a
it.
full-time position, full-time job where I travel.
Pull the mic
So
closer.
most people who
Pull the
travel-
mic.
Most people who travel during the week. Most people don't travel on Monday or Friday. Those are very typical days that they would be in the office. So that's my situation. So there's times I won't be able to be here. I knew that when I, applied, to participate. So, it kind of is what it is.
Yeah, in fairness, Jim has not asked for the date to be changed. I just thought if we could work out a time, it'd be great to keep him on the committee and keep his input involved. So
I
Any
know Chris
idea?
also has a full-time position, and I don't know if her travel situation is the same or not. But
No, I don't travel, but my husband is on the council, so sometimes he has Wednesday meetings, and so, Friday is fine with me, but if it's not fine with everybody else.
Friday's
then-
fine with me.
The fourth Monday of the month is also available.
What's the second Monday? Another committee.
Audit committee.
So
it's totally for the council.
Fourth
Not a
Monday.
consideration?
Thursdays, some Thursdays are available too, just depending on where
which
you want to
number
go.
I don't think that solves Jim's
Yeah.
problem.
No.
Right.
The
No,
Thursdays.
you want a Monday or Friday would keep you in your travel.
The fourth Monday is great for me.
Fourth Monday's fine.
Does everybody work for the fourth Monday? Is that better for you, Jim?
It's better for me, yes.
Yeah.
But
I certainly don't have an objection to it, no.
I think
I think
Monday
it-
might be better than a Friday. The only problem with
agree.
Mondays is sometimes there's a holiday. But if there is, we just do what council does. You make it the next Monday.
What do we do for if it's a holiday, Amy? If it's on a Monday?
You'd have to reschedule that day.
But we'll know ahead
And
of
we can
time.
move it later in the week, or we can work with open, check the open calendar.
Or if you leave it on Wednesday, I just try to call in when it's
Okay.
possible. So again, that's, I'll leave it.
But if nobody cares if it's Monday and it helps you.
Right.
Yeah, why wouldn't we?
And
Well,
why,
let's entertain a motion, and we'll have some discussion on it. Want to do that?
And
Anybody?
just to let you know, June 19th, if we were to keep the Wednesday, right, June 19th, we will not be able to meet. June 19th, we're closed. So it's,
Juneteenth?
Juneteenth?
correct.
It's what?
Oh, and that's a Wednesday?
That is a Wednesday. So we do keep Wednesdays. June 19th right now is not available. We have to change the meeting.
Well,
to
maybe now would be a
the
good
20th
time
or
to
the
discuss this
21st.
then.
So I think right now would be a good time.
Now would be a
yes.
great time to
Absolutely.
discuss it.
You mean the town of Fort Myers Beach is closed on Juneteenth?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's one of our
It's a new
holidays.
deal. Get with the times.
Is it really?
It is, yes, sir.
We have it off as well.
Really?
My company, yeah.
Okay. Did not know that.
Don't worry, there'll be a 4-day work week pretty soon, too. Okay. Would anybody like to?
I'll make a motion just for discussion, that move we move our meetings to the fourth Monday of the month.
Moved by Ed Schoonover, or do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Chris. And discussion. Maybe we'll go around and just do a yes or no, and then we'll have a discussion. But Doug, is that going to work okay with you?
Yeah, it will, but I have an announcement I'm going to make later. But I think
Okay.
as an idea, it's probably good. I work full-time too, and it's probably midweek's a kind of a tough time.
Okay, we're going to cut off your mic for that announcement. Okay. Jim,
Yeah, I only have one concern, and that is as soon as we do move forward with it, I'll have a meeting that I have to go on a Monday.
course.
So that'll be the only concern. But yes,
for the
Mondays
most
work
part,
better for
it'll
me,
give
yes.
it'll give you extra one here and there. So we'll
Correct.
have you more than we normally would.
Absolutely.
Vice Mayor, is that good with
Works
you?
well for me, and love to keep Jim as involved as we can.
Yes, definitely. Ted, is that going to work okay with you? Okay. Work fine with me, Chris?
Good for me.
Ed?
No, I'm fine with it, and I also want to keep Jim on board.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate the consideration.
I think Curtis is
I'm
okay
good.
with it, whenever we have.
I
Okay,
can make
John?
that, I can make that work.
Okay, we have a
And it takes-
motion on the floor.
Takes care of Juneteenth, too.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Our new meeting time will be the fourth Monday of every month.
When, just for folks who are watching, when would the next meeting be?
Aye.
It would be the 24th of June, it appears.
6:24.
I mean, to that point, let me ask you a question. Do we, now that we're in this room, do we have the ability, if we're ever out, to be more remote? Do we have the technical?
Chris does it all the time. She
Well, I
calls
called in on like
on a cell
Austin's
phone,
phone or
right?
Jim's
And we
phone.
set a phone on the table.
And it worked.
Seemed to work
Okay.
fine.
It worked great.
Yeah, we just put you on speaker and you
Yeah.
listen. And it's also live on YouTube.
We have the ability to Zoom somebody in.
I think, like on LPA, they do, we have one member that has a hard time making the meetings, and there's some rules, like you can only do it
Has
so
to be
many
for
times. but
extenuating
They
circumstances.
do
We
Zoom meetings.
we like
Yeah, it works fine.
notice that you're not going to be here for it, so. It also helps the committee to know you're not going to be at the next meeting, but we can do it electronically if need be.
I do just want to be upfront and advise you. So after looking at this date, the 24th, I will not be here on the 24th. So I have that's my family vacation scheduled then. So
Okay.
just so y'all are aware. So I don't know if I just
just
realized
started.
that. So I saw. I know. I apologize, but
okay.
so I don't know if for this next meeting if you want to try to move it just for this and then go back to the first for the fourth Monday of every month. Whatever you would like to do.
Well, I don't think we can do it this month because it's a holiday, right?
Well, we'd
I
have
mean,
to
for
move
June.
it to the Wednesday or,
So.
and she's back with her calendar.
Or we could do
Yeah,
a
we'll
Friday.
confuse
Where would I be without my calendar?
But
Yeah, Friday the 21st, possibly.
I just want to congratulate Curtis on his negotiating skills of getting vacation before he started.
I think Curtis is out that whole week.
That's my only family vacation I do every year with the entire family. So
And you're
that's-
gonna-
it was already on the
You're going to deserve it.
21st. The 21st would be
Friday.
would work for me. Yes.
It's a good, yeah, that works.
I can also, like Amy said, I could zoom in, and I could also come into town for this meeting. My vacation, my family vacations in Inglewood. So
Let's see what Amy has to say about just doing that. Do you want to
June 21st is fine.
June
Okay.
21st, and then from then on we'll do the
Fourth
fourth
Monday.
So June 21st, and then the fourth Monday following that. Do we need a motion for that, or?
I apologize for that.
No, that's okay. Thanks for telling us. No, we want you here because we're gonna.
Right. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Now you'll
I
get
want
a-
to be here as
You'll get
well
a
for
chance to
these.
go in
So.
the field and get, do all your duty. You'll get a chance to do everything. You really haven't had a chance to really make all your rounds yet. But by then you'll have a chance to be able to give us a report. And
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, just because we have a lot, the folks who really care about this watch our proceedings. And so if our next meeting is on the 21st of June at 9 a.m., then the following meeting, based upon our conversation, would be the 22nd of July at 9 a.m. Is that,
No, we have July off, don't we?
That's a great question.
oh, we haven't talked about that. Do we want to take July and August off? I think we usually take July and August off. If we do, next meeting, we will have to submit what we want towards the budget for next year. If we're not going to meet in July and August, because the budget meetings are. Do you guys take off, Jim, for July and August, or just August?
July.
It's just 1 month, I believe.
Just 1 month?
Yeah.
But you'll be discussing budget starting soon.
Yeah, but
Probably August.
But yeah, that's a great question for Chad. And in terms of I don't know historically does the committee ask for additional funds for the operations of the committee? Because otherwise
We're
they'll
going to this year.
We are.
Yeah, only because, and it's only a few $100s, because we're going to, as far as, I'm planning, we're going to plan on having Cruisers Appreciation Day next spring. And the one item that we need a little bit of money as a cushion in case we get rained out, because we have a little bit of expenses, but we will need a little bit of money for a premium gift. We used to get the keychains or the hats, whatever we're going to get. And it's only a matter of a few $100s. I'll have to look back on what it's been in past years. But we usually give it to you, and I think it's a line item specifically for that event.
I
You
think
have
if we
5,000 in the budget right now, I think, for
Oh.
the Anchorage committee. I thought I saw it somewhere.
Well, then maybe we'll just ask to
Maintain that.
maintain that.
Amy, would you just make a note of that if you see
Yeah,
That was our
Our
only
finance-
miscellaneous item, I think, that we put in budgets every
It's right
year.
there.
And it was only a bailout amount usually. Yep.
5,000 advisory committee.
I think that's more than we usually even have. So
at least it's there. And
that will totally
yeah.
cover whatever we're going to
I
need.
think that's pretty standard for each advisory committee. So if you'd pass it on to Joe, if you see him, that'd be great. Otherwise, we could mention it on the 21st of June. But
And our Cruisers Appreciation Day has even the times it got rained out, people showed up, and we always at least broke even. But we just
when is that usually, Sam?
that's usually the week after Easter, while the mooring field people are still here, but it's not super crowded because we used to have it at Matanzas Courtyard or someplace like that, or we had it at the parking lot of Matanzas.
So it'll be kind of near the end of next season.
It's going to be probably the weekend or the Saturday after the Easter weekend.
Okay.
And depending on when Easter is, we try to do it while people are still here, but after that Easter rush.
I wonder about the cancellation of 2 months. Seems like we're right in a transition period and hate to lose too much information. If we could maybe skip 1 month.
Why don't we skip 1 month? But, so what month would be the skip month? Would that be August?
July.
Would be
Because
July?
that would be in accordance with what the town does.
What the town does? Okay. We can,
My suggestion, anyway.
Yes, I'd agree with you.
So the next meeting would be the following meeting after the next meeting would be the 26th, Monday, the 26th of August at 9 o'clock,
Okay.
right?
Yep. So now we have the schedule for June's meeting is the 21st, June 21st. Skip July, and then August 26th, which would be the fourth Monday of the month, and we'll continue like that on the fourth Monday of each month. Okay, we're on Chris's members' items. Was that you?
I have nothing. Just
Anything else?
welcome to Curtis. So glad to have you aboard. And
Thank you.
this has been a very productive meeting. So thanks to everybody on the committee.
Ed, anything?
I just had a question for Curtis, and it might be too early for you to know. The last meeting, we had a gentleman come in from a local business that expressed concern that his staff was getting bothered on weekends because we didn't have staff underneath the dock there, underneath the bridge. And I'm just wondering if you've done anything to resolve that.
Not yet, but it's in the works. It's it's a concern of mine as well. I've been talking to our staff about that and how we need to move forward on that right now. In the process of building the team and adding some people to that team. So it's going to be a little time until we start having presence there every weekend, but it is a goal of mine to have presence down there on the weekends. There's been some things that brought to my attention that I think it's a necessity that we have to start doing. So, yes, that will be something that is going to be done here in the near future for sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anything else, Ed?
No.
John?
Nothing new. Just want to say, really appreciate moving forward with the Facebook and the DACA updates. I think, Amy, you're doing a wonderful job, and
That's Nicole.
I'm sorry, Nicole.
But Amy's also doing a great job.
Amy too, both of you. But yeah, I'm very encouraged that we're gonna increase our exposure and probably our rate of dockers.
Just so you know, we have a history of getting names wrong here.
Oh, you don't. You just wait.
Seriously? Cheater.
And we're going to move seats next time. And
Oh,
he is
boy.
not going to know who we are.
Well, I want to thank Amy for coming because all this stuff you get comes from her email box if you don't notice that. So thanks for coming. And thanks to Nicole for coming.
Yeah.
And in addition to looking at the strategic plan, if you could go to the website, click on Nicole's, all the links, and any suggestions you have for her, pass it on to her either through her email or at the next meeting. And thanks to Curtis. A couple questions.
We still have those members over there who might have updates.
Okay.
Okay. I just didn't want you to forget them.
I thought I already went through the.
No.
Didn't I? Nope, I didn't. I passed right over everybody. So I'll just keep doing mine. How is the staff updates next? So I'll give you a chance, but I just wanted to ask how's the pump out schedule and your crew going so far?
So far, everything is going well. Pump out schedule has been continuing as it is right now. I've not made any changes to that. As of the staff, like I told you, we're in progress of putting together a full staff down there at the mooring field for us. So I'm actually in the process of that right now. So that's where I'm at.
And how are all the boats running? Maintained and running okay for now?
Yes, everything's running fine. The little stuff we have replaced a fuel gauge on the pump out boat. Just little stuff like that to keep it up and running. But as of right now, everything's operating fine.
Good. How far did I get? Did I get to Ted? Did I already get you, Ted?
Got nothing.
Okay.
I'm going to have you go to Doug first because I'll say something after
Okay.
I think what I'm going to hear. Yeah.
I think what I'm going to hear. I don't want to hear it, but
I have a request.
cut his mic.
I have a request. I'm finding myself spread pretty thin, and I'm on the LPA, which really takes a lot of time and we've been having 2 meetings a month lately. What I heard was before Ian, they would have like 2 or 3 issues a month. Now we're having like 9 or more. And the agenda packages are like 350 pages. And it's just, and I work full-time too. And I'm sort of struggling to make even their meetings, which I really try to make time for. But it's, I find, well, one thing I have to call out Sam Laurie, and is really doing a great job, because after Ian, when we reassembled the Anchorage Advisory Committee, it was just a couple of us like that were even still here. And without Sam's leadership and continuity, we wouldn't have known what to do. But I guess I'm asking permission to resign. But I also see, I need to mention 6 very active, engaged committee members that are clearly paying attention to what the Anchorage needs. So I guess I'm asking permission to resign from the committee so I can devote myself to the LPA.
We're not giving you permission. Well, regretfully,
Walk the plank.
and I just want to say that Doug was the chairman of the committee for a while, and he's worked very hard on this committee. However, I did watch the LPA meeting, and that's really a big job you've taken on. I know you wanted to do that for quite a while now, that was your main interest and your primary focus.
I think my background and skill set's better served on the LPA. So,
Well,
anyway.
you're going to start getting emails from me on that committee.
yeah, now we can
And
communicate.
that's a lot. That's a lot of work, and you do have your hands full with that. So appreciate all your stuff. And by the way, if you have any suggestions for us, you're welcome to come to the meetings, make comment, email us, because you do have a pretty good background on the Anchorage now.
I think the goal that I'd really like to see is the first-class shore facilities that we've talked about and tried to make happen. It's very difficult. I understand all the options, but I think Fort Myers Beach could be a real destination. I mean, it is now, but I mean, after the reconstruction from Ian, and we have first-class maintenance facilities with Moss Marine and with the plate, I think it's like one of the largest, only one of 3 repair facilities that can handle certain size boats in Florida right there. So I think, the potential's huge, and I think there's work to be done. I think our new harbor master's got a good background for actually going to the next level. So it's going to be a lot of work.
Well, on behalf of the committee, we really thank you for your service and wish you good luck with LPA. Your gold watch is in the mail.
Yay.
Maybe he can take his little, advisory board.
And if there's anything, you might want to talk to him, if there's anything you need to do in writing.
Yeah, I don't know if I have to
I don't think you need to do anything. And maybe since he's announced that, we can go ahead and advertise or put that out for a new member.
Thank you, Doug.
And
Thank you, Sam.
Doug.
Thank you, everyone.
And
Yeah, so
This Jim
I watched,
first.
I also watched the LPA and the council meetings, and you guys amazed me, the dedication that you put into that. So I'm thankful for that and the opportunity to serve with you a brief time here. Curtis, welcome to Fort Myers Beach.
Thank you.
I think it's great to have somebody with the operational experience that you have, and I'm excited to see how that works. And thank you for this prior service with the Coast Guard. So,
Appreciate it. Thank
yep, that's all I have.
Vice Mayor.
I would just say briefly, thank you, Doug. I watch all the LPA hearings as well and meetings, and you guys are doing yeoman's work over there, and thank you for your service on this committee as well. Welcome, Curtis. We look forward to working with you. I just wanted to challenge this committee with Doug's announcement, because this is a committee that has a subject matter expertise in this area. Think about your neighbors and friends who might have an interest in serving. because somebody with some background, I know when I first met John, he had mentioned that he had a lot of friends in the area that have similar interests in boating, and I know some other folks on this committee do as well. So just encourage them to engage. Everybody's always many folks are looking for ways to volunteer and give back to the community, and this is a great way to do that, particularly given this is a kind of a special subject matter expertise. Don't have to have it, but I mean, Chris has been a great addition because she's got brings a lot of different skill sets to the table. So it's nice to have a mix of everybody, but this group would know folks who would be interested in serving, and it's always nice to have a couple candidates to choose from when we go forward as a council. So that's all I've got. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yep.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything under member items? Anything from staff? Okay. Any public comment? I don't see any public. No public comment. Set the agenda for next meeting. I think we did that. We got rid of number 7C, the third-party marina. That'll just be included in our member discussions. And the next meeting will be June 21st. And then there will be no July meeting. And starting in August, we'll meet the fourth Monday of every month, which the first one will be August 26th. Anybody have any other items?
I do have a question, just to make sure we're on the same page. So, for the items for the next meeting, I know we're taking out third-party operating mooring field. What are we replacing that with? What did we decide to replace that with?
We're going to replace it with your member item, which will be anything you want to talk about. So,
Okay.
Because you're going to come across stuff that's not on here in the next few weeks. So, anything as you go through your month, just make notes. Anything you want to discuss with us?
Yeah, I would suggest that, we get Curtis's thoughts about
Yep.
what's on the action plan and, committee thoughts as well.
Do we
Just-
want to add that on to our agenda? Strategic action plan? Let's add it on, because I think what's going to happen is, let's add it on. What's going to happen is we're not going to be able to do it all in one day. We'll take, maybe Chris can pick out a section that's going to be the primary one, and we'll take it one
Just
section at a time.
observations, I think, if we can start with
Yep.
key
We'll start-
observations and then we can go
Actually
from
start
there.
with how we're going to do it.
Yeah,
And everybody get a chance to look at it this month and just mark it up, make some notes on it. So I think that's the agenda for next meetings. Anybody else have anything else? Do I hear a motion?
I'm going to let Doug do it.
oh, yeah. And he can second
Make
it.
a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Doug, second by Ed. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned at 10:28. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole.